Today I'm going to show you how to build some wood shelves along this wall in my garage. I'm going to build them pretty sturdy with some 2x4s and some OSB, and we'll take you through the steps. The first thing you're going to want to do is measure the space from floor to ceiling. In this case we're at 8-foot ceilings, but also look for any obstructions in the way, like the garage door and any kind of racks you have set up. I also, in my garage, and you may or may not have this, is have a little lip. It's a concrete lip that I need to be aware of when I'm building the shelves. So the boards that I'm using are 8-foot 2x4s, along with 2 sheets of OSB, which were 4x8, but Lowe's was nice enough to actually cut them down in half for me, very simply, so it saved me a lot of time and effort. So this is what we're going to be using for our materials, along with 3-inch screws. Next, I need 18 boards cut in 20-inch lengths as my support beams. And the easiest way I found to do this is if you mark these 4 boards that I need here, just mark it at 20, go to 40, and so on, you'll find that you can just easily take your speed square and mark it all 4 boards at the same time. Once you've marked all your boards on this side, you lay it flat, find your mark on this edge here, and just transfer it over to the flat part to make it easier to cut. You also want to mark off with an X the piece you don't want to use, which on this case is that other end, which is going to be too short. One thing you want to make sure of when you're cutting these boards is to make sure that you're up against the guardrail here. If you're too far off, it's going to screw up your cut and it's going to make it at an angle. So make sure you're level and flush on both sides with the guardrail, as you can see there. And then we want to make sure it's straight in terms of where you are for your cut. If your cut's not lined up properly, again, you're going to be a little off too far this way or this way. What I tend to do is line up as best as possible. I'll bring down the blade and make sure it's right on line. In this case, it's not. So we're going to adjust it over slightly and make the cut. The other thing I wanted to show you is you don't always need the best 2x4s. These have a little irregularities, but they're going in my garage as back supports. So I really don't care what they look like. The next step is I'm going to take that 20-inch 2x4 that I cut and screw it to the other longer 2x4, which is going to be 6 feet. And I'm going to do it using a 3-inch tan colored with a star. I don't know if you can see that. The star piece on there as the top head. You can get just a Phillips head as well. And this is a little star bit that came with it to kind of, you can use to, I know it's kind of tough to see. Use that star piece to screw these in. And it comes in the box. So I'm just going to use a scrap piece of wood down here and pre-drill all my holes so that I can put these 2 boards together. Here you can see the completed 6 posts that I'm going to have for my structure, which I'm going to put the shelves on. At the bottom here, you can see are the support beams that are going to hold up the shelves and provide a lot of sturdiness. Since I have this lip, this little concrete lip between the wall and what the boards are going to be, I need to kind of fill that space, and I want to make sure the boards, the shelving itself, doesn't tip over with all the heavy weight on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these little pieces onto the wall. I found the studs. I'm going to screw them in. I'm going to do one on each of the 3 boards that lean up against the wall. Then I'm going to screw my shelving to those braces to make sure nothing ever falls over. Just a little tip, something you don't have to do, but I think it's going to really make this more sturdy and something that will never come off the wall. So here you can see I've attached the 3 braces to the wall using a piece of 2x4 that I cut and screwed into the wall first, then attach the outside beams or studs to those pieces. That way the shelving will not fall forward for any reason. It just provides more stability. My next step is really going to be to take some scrap wood from some of my other cuts, and I need to measure my cross support beams underneath the shelf to provide extra support. So I'm going to make sure they line up accurately here, make sure they're even. I need 21 inches, so I'm going to mark the 21 inches. And again, I'm going to use my speed square to just draw the line across and trace it so I don't have to remeasure every board. Just makes it a little simple and a little easier, saves a little time. And then you always put an X on a piece you don't want. So the next step is to build the shelves. And what I'm building here is an 8-foot shelf, 2 feet wide, and I'm going to basically measure 32 inches on center for each of these supporting beams. I'm going to pre-drill the holes, screw them in from both sides, then we'll put them on the supporting outside studs here, and then we'll put the OSB on top of it. So I've built the shelf, the first shelf, and now I've braced it with the other braces on the outside. What's left now is just to screw them in from the outside here, but also along this back wall here to make sure that it's secured to those. Then I'll put the OSB board on and keep building up from there. Okay, the first shelf is on, the first OSB board is on, and I'll screw that down, and then I'll work on the second shelf and the third. As you can see here, I put the next set of braces on to support the next shelf. I just screwed them on with 2 screws, and these will make sure the shelf above it is very secure and supports all the weight. Now the second shelf is on. I just got to put the OSB board on that, put the next set of braces on, and then the top shelf, and we'll be all set. The top shelf is on. I just need to put the top OSB board on. But first, before I do that, I want to make sure I screw it in underneath here to the side beams and support so it's all tied together nicely. So I'll do that next. And here you have the finished product. All 3 shelves built very solidly. OSB is a 1/2 inch. 2x4s all the way around, and it's attached to the studs in the wall, so this should last pretty much the life of the house. Thank you again for watching, and hopefully you have a successful build as well.